All right, you guys are right. I am indeed late. I am sorry I'm late. Had some technical issues, which is why this is a casual, not a dedicated game stream. But let's just check and make sure we're even live. Like I said, I already had some technical issues earlier. Not sure what's going on. I just got a couple games, but the install is taking forever. So we got one, we got two, we got all three. So I'm gonna ask a question I already know the answer to. Are we live? I said, are we live? Looks like we are. VigilanteWilliamson here on the 135th episode of VW Casual. Super duper late. Tried to work on music. Tried to get some exercise in. Trying to do the right thing. You only get so many hours in a day. I fucking slept away my Sunday. Like completely hibernated. Did get a decent day today. I was able to do like some shopping and stuff. Run some errands, but still did not get the working on music, working on finishing the next couple projects. Hopefully in the next month or so we'll be putting everything out officially, so that'll be cool. We're starting to put stuff out officially. I ain't gonna say everything. Oh no, sorry, that's my phone. So thank you for joining. Thank you. Sorry again, I'm late. I did not get goth bunnied as Retro Richard has suggested. I just like I said, had some weird issues, so I just paused this download of this. Sometime this week we will be playing this Claire Obscure 33 Expedition or whatever the hell it is. I'm just buying it off the strength of the world. My brother also said it was pretty good, so I trust him. I think it's like a turn-based RPG. I'm just gonna try it. So hopefully we won't have too many issues with it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes long term. Hopefully you guys are having a good week, beginning of the week. Pretty crazy out in LA. I'm not even sure what started everything, and I'm also not sure if it's something that's we know the media can be very good at enhancing things. I'm not sure how real that situation is, where it looks like a lot of protests and whatnot. So that's something to look for, I look forward to, but look for. Very, very messed up situation. I again don't know. I mean, I guess they're sending troops and shit to us, so it must be pretty serious. I can see both sides of the whole immigration thing, because there's the reality of, hey, legal is legal. You got to protect your borders. We've seen that mass immigration can be a problem, but I guess what the real problem is for years, motherfuckers have been halfway crooks about it. That's been the problem. Like, you're right. It's hard to look up the word illegal. The problem is America's wanted to halfway crook it. America's wanted to keep the illegals to keep cheap workers. So if America's going hardcore, but if America had did that from the first place, a lot of this wouldn't even be a problem. If America never used immigrant labor in the first place, never had it in the gray area that it did, none of this would be a problem. But America wanted to halfway crook it, and now they're trying to full way crook it, and people are pissed. So you spend decades and decades depending on cheap labor, depending on migrant work, especially I'm here in Texas, depending on illegal work, and then you want to finally start enforcing the rules, you're going to have some backlash. Not saying, like I said, I see both sides of it. There's also, hey, man, legal is illegal, like you're saying. It's like, hey, man, if you're not legally here, you don't have the right to legally be here. It's absolutely okay for the country to enforce those legal rights of you not supposed to be here, and you being forced to go about things the legal way. But like I said, it's not as cut and dry because of that gray marketness, and not to go full decades to get citizenship. I see both sides of it. Again, if this wouldn't be a problem if there was no gray area, if you weren't using if you wasn't trying to exploit and get cheap labor out of people, If you would have never let, that's the whole, isn't that the whole immigration gimmick? They're taking our jobs, quote unquote. Well, they should have never even had the chance to. You shouldn't have went decades. You're right. They had decades and decades to get citizenship, but they also had decades and decades of enjoying the halfway crookedness. Yeah, that is. I have seen a lot of that. Like, just because you Latino, you just supposed to be illegal. Like, no, that's not. There's still millions and millions of Latino people here illegally. But like, listen, I'm just playing angel's advocate. I understand enforcing immigration, but you know what I mean. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but you want to do so ethically. You know what I mean. And I'm not saying I'm in the favor of the protest or not. Because I honestly, I don't know enough. Y'all know how to keep that. I mean, I guess past couple episodes we talked about politics, but I'm keeping an eye on this shit. I'm more focused on trying to finish this album. Worry about, we might play some video games today. No case, it's just a reality. Again, this couldn't have been established unless it was already established. If America did not try to, without them be knowing to wipe our asses, they should have never had this opportunity. You should have never relied on immigrant labor for 20, 30 years. That's why you have this. If this could have been handled before any of us was born, myself included. I know I'm old. Shit should have been handled before any of us was born. That's the truth. That's the honest God truth. This became a situation because a lot of motherfuckers wanted to turn a blind eye. A lot of motherfuckers just wanted to kind of. So this should have happened 1970 something. You know what I'm saying? I agree with that. You say if your mom gets citizenship, never worked a day in her life, than a guy worked 20, 30 years can't. I would agree with that. But again, 20, 30 years ago would have been the best time to handle it. So, this is a situation we inherited. Because I remember this shit being talked about when I was young, like a kid, like middle school kid, right? So why is something that I've been dealing with since middle school still a problem? You know what I mean? Or not I've been dealing, but that the country's been dealing with since before I was in middle school. It's been older than that, but this was talked about when I was in middle school. That was the 90s. You know what I'm saying? That was the 90s. So as much as I probably do shade a little bit towards what you're saying, Richard, there is something to be said about not handling your business as a country and not enforcing this in the first place. Because this could have never got this. This could have never gotten this far if not for that. And that's not to say, you know what I mean. If you're going to have some people work here for years and years and years, and maybe that's a solution of creating a path to citizenship for individuals who have worked in America, who have not done anything wrong, and have already demonstrated they can be a part of the system without any gang ties and all that good stuff. Maybe does need to be something like that. I'm sure there's a simple answer that's being divided based upon politics to make sure it doesn't happen and make sure everyone argues with each other and divides and this bullshit. I mean, that's what politics are. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a logical, simple answer that we'll never come to that will make all parties involved or most parties involved happy. I didn't blame. I'm not blaming Orange Man for this. I'll blame him for the cuts in this weird ass bill. And I blame him for the money cuts, but I'm not gonna blame him for this. Like I said, this shit should have been handled when he was just a motherfucker in New York chilling with Vince. Like this shit should have been handled before he even thought about politics. So I'm not. Yeah, I get what you're saying for the IG, because Lord knows IG is actually wacky. I can't even call it a leftist platform. It's just wacky. It's just contrarian at this point. I'm not. This is one thing I'm not gonna. I mean, I know a lot of people are. It's Trump's America, all this other good stuff, but it's like, man, this should have been handled a long time ago with this immigration. You should have either said, hey, we're not going to hire these migrant workers, so there's no reason for motherfuckers to even come up here, and really had a hard enforcement of the border and or created some this should, like, again, this was at least talked about when I was in middle school, probably been talked about since my mom was in middle school. This shit should have been handled, and that somebody is actually trying something. Listen, I don't agree with a lot of stuff, like I said, not too fond of everything getting cut, not too fond, not saying that nothing should get cut, but I am worried about Trump. And I was worried about the Democrats doing this shit too, because it's something they did. I'm worried about the government sabotaging itself to privatize everything, whether that's Trump or Biden. They both have scared me into that process because I know everyone hates to hear this, especially as of last week, but this is a unity party at the end of the day. All that said, man, the immigration thing, especially seeing recent years how just mass immigration is like, we do not have as much money as the Biden administration gave them, not to go into hardcore politics, but all the money and the benefits while the citizenry is suffering. Granted, it ain't like Orange Man provide nothing. Like I said, I'm not a fan of all these cuts. I think that especially when you're going to have $1 trillion whatever dollar fucking defense budget, which we might need. But all that said, it's like, man, this, again, should have been handled in the 80s, 70s. Shouldn't even been a thing. Never been pro one guy, but it's more than hate and blame him. I feel you. Well, I don't know. He should. Well, I don't think he'll be allowed, right? Because it's just the 2 terms. But I do get that. Some of the slander, some of the, like that one story about the El Salvador guy. It was just the way it was reported. Like, man, if you just tell me the truth, I can decide for myself. But I definitely did not like the reporting. Yeah. Real question is why they starting riots in communities. What are they sneaking into the bill? That's another thing. Whenever I see riots, I don't blame whatever the source is. You know what I mean? Because, I hate to say it, the average person is not going to riot for a goddamn thing at this point. We are completely docile. So when there's riots, when there's actual violence, I assume intelligence operations like almost immediately. So when you say that, you're like, again, what are they going to sneak into this bill? Hey, Fizz, goes for anything for years of damage cannot be fixed in a few months. I agree. And people can get upset at the methods. He has a way of at least attempting everything that he quote unquote campaigned on, but again, like these cuts, like I said, I think both parties have done their share of trying to sabotage the government, which is already, government in and of itself is already boo boo trash. So to even make it worse in any way for the purposes of potentially privatizing everything, I think to me that's a fair worry. That's a fair word. But we'll see. Because so much shit is informally privatized anyway. That's not to say it's a cape. Say CJ GJ is funny. Why he's on your team? Yeah, he's a character. Speaking of CJ's on the Texans, what are your thoughts, Brandon Hollum, about this general soreness for CJ Stroud? There's a lot of. I'm almost wondering if I should make a bunch of sports videos. I was thinking about doing a profile of all 32 teams. I'm not sure. Booties, beers, and bottles ain't nothing. I hope not. It is somewhat weird. Because there was no report of anything like at all. Like there was no report of any off-season surgery, no report of anything. But we'll see. Still playing KOTOR 2. Nice to the Old Republic. That's nice. Nice. Hopefully, but we'll see. We'll see in a couple months. Oh yeah, that Chubb. I've seen a lot of jokes because we got a guy named Woody and now a guy named Chubb. As far as Woody Marks the rookie, and now Nick Chubb. Man, if Nick Chubb was what he was a few years ago, this is gonna be that's a game-changing thing. And the best part is he doesn't really have to be that great. You know what I'm saying? All he has to be, all you really need from him is like 600 or 700 yards. Like, I feel like he could get to that. He's not going to get the same crazy workload he got in Cleveland. He's not going to get 20, 30 carries with Mixon. Unless Mixon's down and you start running. But you know what I mean? They should both balance each other out. And then, like I said, you still do got that rookie who I thought, a lot's been made about Woody Marks. He's a rookie out of USC. A lot has been made, he's going to pass catch. I think he can do a decent job in the running game. So if he and we'll see training camp and all that, how that really plays out. But if he can exceed what people's expectations, you might have a triple-headed running. And now you got to, it's a lot easier for a new offensive line to run block than pass block. And now if you got 3 guys potentially to get carries, now you can go crazy 30 carries between the 3 of them type stuff. Or type shit, as the kids would say. Yeah, Damian Pierce is somewhere on his roster too. That's true. And he had a good year, was a couple years ago too. But a lot of it was injury. A lot of it was anything. If Nick Chubb can stay healthy, if Pierce can stay healthy, man, you can really just really go crazy with the carries. If there is an issue with CJ, if there is an issue with this offensive line, you can get a lot of carries and a lot of stuff just out the backs. And then when you add I think that this offense will be fine. That's why, what do we say, 13 wins? I feel 13 wins is a safe bet. I think this is going to be one of the best teams in the league, Houston. I don't feel that way as much about Detroit, especially, or at least record-wise. We could be 10-7. Like, I'd be happy to get 10-7. We got losing Frank. I was cool with everything else, but losing Frank Ragnow, that scares me. Because Goff is so bad when he gets a rush in his face. And he's been so privileged with how good this offensive line is that if the offensive line is even average in Detroit, I'm worried Goff may not be able to handle it. I hope he proves me wrong, but I'm worried that even an average or a slightly above average offensive line is not good enough for Goff. How it's not just that he's immobile or that he's not fast. Tom Brady wasn't fast, but Tom Brady had pocket presence, could handle a rush. He understood what to do if he was challenged in the backfield. Not to say he still gets sacked, and he wasn't perfect, you know what I mean? But Goff just literally discombobulates if you get a pass rush on him. And now you done took away one of the best players on the team, the guy who helps control that rush. It's like, and now you got a rookie who, God bless him, even is not just the blocking stuff for a center. You got to call you got to call a lot of the blocking coverages and the blocking schemes. Granted, the quarterback can help with that, but it's just like that's a lot. That's a lot for a guy with no pocket presence. And then, yeah, you got that wide receiver room. Hey, Tommy, man. By the way, I'm not sure if you was here the other day, but that shit that you put in the chat was hard. But I really think, man, the Texans should get to the AFC title. Like, the Texans have everything. I know the offensive line's an issue, but this is going to be a special defense, and the offense is better. Like, remember the Bears went to the championship. This is back in the day, like 2006. But they went to the championship with Rex Grossman as their quarterback. Like, you've had teams with special defenses and shitty quarterbacks. This is not one of them. This is going to be a legit offense with one of the best defenses in the league. It's like, with a schedule that's not terrible, this could be something. All right, going back to the riots and everything, Retro Richard says, I don't like they made it about race and Latinos and all illegal and all that crap. I don't give a fuck what race you are. If you don't belong, get out. I agree. Like I said, that's what I lean on. It's like, man, I'm not saying we shouldn't explore potentially creating a path to citizenship, but they never do. They just do a bunch of crazy shit. Like, there's never if you look at that's not what Biden and them did. They just, we're just going to let you in here and we're going to just give you shit. We're just going to give you shit. And it's like, that's not cool, especially when the citizenry needs shit. And again, I know the counter bill, well, the Republicans ain't gonna give you shit. You're right. That's why I don't like them either. That's why I don't like the binary fucking division filled political games motherfuckers play right now. Latest video is getting like 2 views. It's so hard to get views, man. Just gotta keep swimming. Like I said, throw shit out in the and this is what I'm going to be doing. Just throw shit out on other platforms. Throw shorts out. I've been lazy with the shorts. I'm trying to finish this fucking album. And hey K2J, hey Zombie Man, throwing some heat. Gotta develop young guys off. Yeah, it's like now all of a sudden that offensive line has to be. A lot of people been worried about the D line. I get that, but like, I mean, granted, a lot of it was blitzing our way out of it, but our pass rush was actually still decent last year. We blitzed our way out of it, but whatever. I'm really worried about this offense because, like I said, Goff is horrible. He's one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen in dealing with a rush. And again, he's just been. Let me try to play this. We're in an era where the one thing defenses do well is rush the passer. The one thing that everything's predicated on defensively nowadays is rushing the passer. And so it used to be that you had 3 seconds to make a decision. If you had 3 seconds average, you had a good offensive line. Now, if you can get 2.5 seconds, you have a good offensive line. And the Lions have gotten sometimes 5 seconds. Like, he's gotten some of the best offensive line play I've ever seen in my life in an era where you're not getting that for most teams. So, like, what is he gonna do? We'll see. I don't want to be too down on Goff. When you look at the production and even the winning he's done over the past few years, I mean, there's not too many better. So, I got a hot take. I think, I actually think Goff the past few years has been better than someone like Josh Allen, who gets a little bit more credit. Josh Allen throws quite a few picks himself. Nobody's perfect. That's his issue. That's his Achilles heel. He throws quite a few picks. Crazy idea, free green cards for everyone who helps us take green land. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, I heard something about the R-Truth thing. We were kind of talking about it. R-Truth is now Ron Killings, as Retro Richard has said earlier. So I saw. Okay, obviously R-Truth was it last week, and I'll be specific and say R-Truth was released by the WWE. Then on Saturday, Ron Killings, because that's very key, came back and interfered with the match. And Triple H tried to make it seem like that was the plan all along, but the reports are that was absolutely not the plan all along. There was a legitimate release. And not only that, R-Truth, a.k.a. Ron Killings, made sure he was not going to come back in the same way. He was not just going to come back as R-Truth. He was not just going to come back and do the goofy shit. It looks like he's going into what he was way back in the day when he was in NWA and then later with TNA and being a lot more serious. And that's great. That's great. This guy's 53, he looks timeless, but he is 53. I'm hoping he got the bag, and I hope he got enough creative control to not have to be the silly gimmick. Maybe me and Richard keep talking about who's going to be Cena. Maybe this guy be Cena. I'm not sure. But they got to push him. Yeah, R-Truth, a.k.a. Ron Killings, a.k.a. K Quick. He also, Triple H got exposed for lying. He was talking Triple K. Triple K. Yeah, I don't want Canada either. R-Truth was on Raw. He's going by Ron Killings. He did post a picture shaking hands with Triple H. But the thing is, Triple H tried to come across like it was all one gimmick, and he probably shouldn't have. Josh Allen Lamar, the offense is really efficient, cut down the turnovers. That's true. With Allen in particular, especially looking at the other day, we looked at many turnovers. Well, he only has had 2 seasons under, and I got corrected on that in somebody's comment section, but he's only had 2 seasons under 10 picks. and one of them was last year. I kind of want another one. And here's another issue with the Bills. This is why I might do a thing on every team. Some teams I'm not going to be as good, but I might do it and see if I can get it done by the start of the season. They're having an issue with James Cook. I have a theory that part of the reason that Josh Allen played so well last year was because of James Cook and having a good running game. They had receivers. They had Stephon Diggs. That was kind of when Diggs got traded, was from Minnesota to the Bills. That was when Josh Allen really came alive with all the touchdowns. Again, still throwing a decent number of picks. He had another one with 10. So, that wasn't single digit, but it's still, they got 40 touchdowns, 10 picks. Listen, I'm not anti-Josh Allen. I don't want to sound that way. Pro Jared Goff, even though I criticize him too. You just heard me just shit on Jared Goff for a while, and I think he's a little bit better. I think his production has been a little bit better, and he's gotten us to similar. They both have hit the conference championship in the past couple of years, so it's like. But the media treats them like they're so far apart, and I'm like, I don't think they're that far apart. I don't think they're. I would take if you said, "Hey, would you trade Jared Goff for Josh Allen?" No, I wouldn't. There's honestly nobody in the league I would trade Jared Goff for. Now, I would trade him for like a prime Tom Brady, but there's nobody in the league I'd trade Jared Goff for because I think he's top 5 production-wise. I like Joe Burrow a lot. So if there's one guy I would think about it, maybe Burrow, but production-wise, he's as good as anyone. And he wins. I am still worried about him because I know his weaknesses, but all these quarterbacks have weaknesses. And because I watch him every week, I'm going to know his weaknesses more than ever. But Josh Allen, he's a pick fest. And now, as the Houston Texans know, I think he's going to, I think Houston might be an absolute Achilles heel for him. I don't see how his play style is going to vibe with playing against Houston either in the regular season when they got him or in the playoffs. So even if they do win a ton of games, if they got to go through Houston for any reason, I can see Houston getting the victory. He just looks like he is designed to throw picks to this defense. Because a lot of that running by himself and fake slide and all that dumb shit, it's not going to work against Houston, man. And not having a running game, if James Cook does hold out, because no one understands football. Oh, my God, why is Josh Allen having a down year? Well, now those fucking safeties who had to be honest at least, they don't have to be honest. They can just sit there and wait for the picks. And not having and if they don't have a solid running game, they're going to have trouble. And the Bills have an easy schedule. They're trying to set them up to be great. If they don't have a solid running game, they're going to have trouble. That's my hot take. Now, they might get James Cook under contract over the next week. Everything's cool. Then they're ready to go. But Josh Allen scares me. And Zion, man, we're going to play some of this music. Like I said, you had some heat the other day. I'm not sure if you were in the chat. Eventually, I'm talking about projects. Eventually, because I am a form an official company, we're going to have to do a project together. I'm going to sign you a lease for that. If Houston can get a high enough seed in the playoffs, they can stop the Bills at home. Yeah, I think Houston's going to have a pretty good record. I also got, if I told you my division winners, the North is going to be pretty easily the Ravens. I'm pretty sure the Bills, but it would not shock me if the Patriots snuck the East. If they have a shitty running game, and Josh Allen's in a bad situation, and he goes back to Pickfest Allen, the Patriots have an easy enough schedule. They've basically bought a defense with all the cap room. I can see the Patriots sneaking from worst to first and sneaking this division in the AFC. The East? As far as the South, like I said, I think Texans are going to take it. And my hot take, I think the Chargers are going to win the West. I think the KC will still make the playoffs as a wild card, and so will probably the Broncos. But I think the Chargers are going to be an improved team and win the West. I think that's a surprise team I have. So that's my guess. Doing what now? Oh, in order to release music and shit, I'm going to end up forming a company. I've been debating back and forth on whether I should. I'm going to just go ahead and do it because I'm gonna release music till the day I die. So might as well be able to write off all the bullshit that I buy. And I'm like, hey man, shit, if I could actually figure this shit out, I'll put your music out. I'll put out anybody's music. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. That's gonna take some time. And then I want to do a project with you, so it would make sense. But let me figure out what the fuck I'm doing because I don't know everything. So let's go back. He lost respect. He just, I don't know. Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. He ain't had to lie. He could have just said, he could have just kept that shit close to the vest. Because they know R-Truth mad. They know motherfuckers is mad and motherfuckers gonna talk, so I don't know what they thought. Surprised the Bills can have a good O-line with no first rounders. That's a credit to them. You don't always need first rounders. Trade for Kevin Durant. I'm sick of everybody acting like the Pistons need. Oh, trade for Zion. Trade for this guy. Trade for that guy. Because we're the media. We don't understand sports. We just understand big names because we're basically TMZ. We're basically gossip for guys. And so we don't understand how sports really work. So Detroit's a good team. Put a big name, bloated contract that's going to fuck up all the chemistry, fuck up all the money, and fuck up the whole rebuild. Because we don't know no better. We're the dumb media. Suck my dick. I don't want any of those players. Start doing a Kickstarter for Ramon Krim. Good luck. So hell yeah. News of Trump versus Musk died. Yeah, it died pretty fast. Especially we talk about the riot protest shit in LA. That seems to be what the media's wanting to push. Like I said, I'm not sure that's not an intelligence operation. Seems like all the East Coasters love the Jags. I don't believe in the Jags. I won't believe in the Jags until they prove it to me. I know a lot of people are just hype off of Travis Henry. Not Travis Henry. Who is Travis Henry? Travis Hunter. Travis Henry was like an old running back. Just my brain. That's what happens when you get old. A lot of people are hype about Travis Hunter. A lot of people are really hype about Travis Hunter because they see him in camp and, he's going to get a lot of picks from Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence is trash. You got a trash quarterback and he's making him look good on one side, terrible on the other side because he's trash. Number 48 is cursed by Jimmy Johnson. You talking about the NASCAR guy, Jimmy Johnson? Don't know you should go with it and have all audience. I would work on trying to build an audience, and Lord knows I have no idea how to do it. I'm about to start using ads for music and hoping that works, but I have no idea. NASCAR, yeah, I remember NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson. I remember him. How can this team improve? Yeah, it's not like we can't just develop and get better because everybody, especially talking about the Pistons. I mean, Cade is almost a veteran. We drafted him in 2021. You know what I'm saying? It was 2020 or 2021. He's one of the older people on the team. This team is so fucking young. It's like, maybe, just a few years of development and coaching and we can be good. Have we not learned from Paul George? Like they keep making, that's how dumb people are sometimes. Like they'll keep showing all these stats about Paul George creating this finals with all the trades and they'll do all this research but not learn the lesson of stop being a whore for superstars and develop players, and you never know what they might develop into. Better Pistons and Lions. You know what? No, Cowboys won't be better than the Lions. That's blasphemy, Wade. Wade is just crazy. Hey, there's people who think that. Listen. Cowboys have an easy schedule. They definitely set up for the Cowboys to be a bounce-back team. The league is definitely set up for the Cowboys to they are setting them up to at least be a noisemaker in their division. The Lions are dealing with a lot of struggles. So it wouldn't actually be crazy for them to have a better record, but they will not be a better team. I can guarantee you they will not be a better team. They could have a better record, but I would have no problem if they are in our way in the playoffs. I would have no problem going through them at all. Yeah, they are bad because the owners. Lions are cursed like the Browns. Don't say that! No, not yet. We got a few more tries. We got a few more tries with this roster before we come to that determination. I'll come to that determination. Trade your first five. Trade 5 first rounders. You can get key role players. That you could have used to get key role players. Then your prospects for Kevin Durant and Jerk May star Zion. Coley made Lions return to great. Lions have had a great couple years. Ooh, Pittsburgh, I think it's gonna fall off bad, especially with Aaron Rodgers. I'm expecting this might be the year Mike Tomlin gets fired. I don't think they can. Mike Tomlin's been working his way to 9-8 and 10-7 the past few years. This is the year they go 4-12, 5-11, and look a mess. This is it. This is finally that year that it all craps out and they can't do it anymore. Steelers aren't better than the Lions. Have you been watching? That escalated quickly. I know I'm freaking out. Have you been watching football the past 2 years? We've won playoff games more recently than them. You stuck in the 2010s, my guy. All right. I want to get into some Zombie Main. I like Zombie Main. He's got a few bangers for us. We got first Rhythm Collab IDO1. That seems like a generically named track. We're still going to fuck with it. It's only minute and 28. Let's get into some Zombie Main here on VW Casual. Rhythm Collab IDO1. Reading a few comments. Brandon Hollum said, Steelers get random playoff win versus Ravens. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, it wouldn't shock me if somehow they just grind their way to 9-8 one way or another. But I think this is the year they finally fall off. And Sanders to the Eagles. Which Sanders? Colonel Sanders? Waiting for that dude you sending that to hit you back. Good luck. It sounds like some UK type shit. Let's check out the Ignorance is Bliss remix. And keep the Zombie Main set going. Always talking his bangers. All right. Ignorance is Bliss remix. I'm not sure if we heard the original, but definitely I was expecting, when I heard the intro, I was going to go into like a more trap. I see a hood trap ass beat. It's coming. I expected a trap, but that went to an EDM direction, which is still cool. Still cool, man. I fuck with your artistry. At this point, I'm just a fan. Whatever direction you want to take a song into, I'm cool. I'm not even at the point where, you should snitch the snare and just do whatever you want, man. You know what the fuck you doing, bro. You can switch the loop. Nah, fuck that. Fuck that. Just continue the artistry, bro. Just continue the artistry. Continue putting out this heat, and not putting out no bullshit, man. You got heat. What's going on with? I heard something about what's going on with Waymo. They make like self-driving cars using self-aware AI for vehicles. Will they remember the rioters burned down Fort with grudge? Allegedly, if you talk nice to AI, it does better. I don't know if that's true. I have yet to use AI myself. I will be using it again for promotion of this project, amongst other things. Hopefully, help find a second job to help fund a lot of this bullshit. It is nighttime in Houston. That's fair enough. AI scares people, Rich. I know you don't believe the hype of AI, and to some extent, I understand. Because AI is not quite ready for prime time yet. We'll see in 10, 15 years how this plays out. What is Wade got some comedy for us? Sometimes Wade does have some entertainment. Uh-oh. Hold on. What is this? I don't play Fortnite, so I don't understand anything. I don't know, man. So, is that it? Okay, man. I'm a little lost. Like I said, I'm not a Fortnite guy, so I'm not sure what's going on. And then one more, and then we'll let's see. This is Erica. No,
we had Darius Miles, and we had a real athletic team. And we was playing the Timberwolves one night. Okay. So we had Darius Miles, and we had a real athletic team. And we was playing the Timberwolves one night, and we was like a lot of dunks. You know what I'm saying? Right. We was like really going at them. And KG was like, these young niggas got my dick hard. What the fuck?
Can we get a pause?
Yeah, he's a wild.
Can we get a pause? What the fuck is that? That's some wild shit, bro. That's some wild shit. We need a palate cleanser. Please, Zombie Man. Save the show right now, please. Zombie Man with 2K Hood, Trap Ass Beat. Anything to save us from this bullshit. pretty hard. Pause. Extra pause after that KG shit. 2K hood trap ass beat, as I man calls it. Fizz asks I man compose. That was a cold thing. I like that. That was a popular thing at the turn of the decade into the 2000s and the 10s. That little I don't know where that sample comes from. I think it came from like either a sample pack or Garage Band or some shit. But now it's just, it just became a thing that a lot of beats had. Could be a car. Yeah, it just sounds it does have a commercial sound. That's something you need to be looking into too, Zombie. Sync and commercial stuff, and Lord knows I don't know how to do it. Matter of fact, next time I see something on Instagram that's talking about that, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to just send it to you, and you look into it yourself, man. Because listen, there's a lot of shit you made that, compared to what you hear. And I know AI may take that over, but, it's still got to. And we'll see what's going on with AI legally and copyright-wise. Especially because so much of what AI does is so great, it's really just stealing other people's shit. You know what I'm saying? The shit that people love about AI is just emulation. So definitely you should, you talk about doing stuff with Fizz, definitely look into getting sync licenses for games, for movies, for TV shows. That's a huge thing now because of all the TV shows and streaming services and you got all these different networks, so you should definitely look into this.
Geico's 85 years.
Well, it's turned down for what? Well, we ain't about to get in the copyright hell for this, but yeah, it does have a similar feel to that, or something like you said could be on a commercial. Serious, that's a couple projects. Sends me. Might be able to go and talk about that. And you're serious about help. About this project, would love to help. So I got a couple projects that I want to finish that I already have, and it's gonna take me a little bit to get everything. So I don't know how many projects I'm gonna have on ice at the time of getting all my paperwork straight. Once I do get that straight, it's basically releasing a project, working a project with shorts and TikTok and everything else, maybe some ad dollars. Then once we're done working that, work the next one, and once this probably wouldn't, as far as doing a project with you, that'll probably be later in the year. I got to get the backlog out first. Once that's out, because there's music that I don't play for y'all guys. I play a lot of it for y'all, but there's stuff that I ain't play. Once we get all that, and there's a lot of it actually, even stuff that I have played or just played the beat, but didn't play the complete song yet. So once we get first 2, maybe even 3 EPs done, then we're going to... I'll hit you up. Streamers who got gunned down on the street in Vegas. I vaguely may have seen something. I saw the one when the girl died in Mexico. I didn't see someone in Vegas, but that's crazy. Streamer gun. I'm gonna look that up and see exactly what the details is on that. I don't think I quite did see that. I feel like I saw someone in Mexico have issues or get murdered or something like that. So let's see. Let's go ahead and check this out. Hopefully we don't get doxxed with all the fucking ads and shit. Let me just make sure they don't put. Okay. So it says couple killed after apparent online streamer clash at Vegas Strip. KLAS, Las Vegas, a murder of a husband and wife stems from an online beef between 2 YouTuber streamers arguing over copyright infringement, amongst other things. The 8 News Now investigators review hours of archive videos. Finney the Legend, one of the 2 victims, and fellow streamer Sin City Manny had argued for months. The video appears to show the 2 trolled each other, disagreed, lengthy conversations. Of course, an hour of stream. I never heard of either one of them. These, the Finney the Legend guy, if that was him, these guys are older than me. I am 37. And Manuel Ruiz, who is Sin City Manny, is 41. These are 40-year-olds beefing over streaming. And I'll see. This is something I don't like. That's that shit I don't like. By Monday morning, Ruiz's stream seems to be scrubbed from the internet. That is something that YouTube does. Oh, there's a legal issue. Just hide everything. It's like, no. Let the people see this shit. Fetty the Legend stream includes some of Ruiz's streams where Fetty Cat and the cast online criticizes prowess of Las Vegas. So this is the dumbest shit I ever heard for motherfuckers to get hurt over. Over how we're talking about 4,000 subs. So these are not, I'm not one to talk. I can't even get to 1,000, right? But we're not talking 100,000 sub guys. And this allegedly Sin City man, then they kill people over a stream. That's fucking bananas. That's bananas. I heard the Streaming University. If it's with AMP, if you want to get on with AMP, I think you have to freak off. I don't think there's a way to get on or any of these streaming. I don't think you can get into the industry without being a freak off vet. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I can be a musical food truck and be independent from the industry and still grind and be successful. I hope that's the case. I think there's layers to it, but if you're going through like a Streamer University or Kai Cenat or Amped or Drewski or any of these type of guys and gals that have status, I do think, like, listen, you want to be Sin City Maddie clapping at people, you could do that without having to go do a freak off. But if you want to get on Streamer University, you probably got to do some freaky shit. Do have an actual set. Guys, listen for the next 20 minutes. I had to get it prepared, all that. Send it via Google Drive. You can. I'm not sure, because I never know how long I'm gonna do these streams. So if you, that's up to you. That's up to you. How about that? Just the Google, the email. I mean, you got my Instagram. You can send it through that, or my email is just VigilanteWilliamson@gmail.com. That's it. Didn't know about the actual film of the incident popped up on your stream. Oh man, Kaiser not there. That's a rumor that he has some relation to Diddy. Not that he looked just like him. He's obviously lived very close to him, and we also know that the industry is filled with nepotism. If there's anyone who's not doing a freak off, it's the sons and daughters and whatever. And some of them, he still got to even do the freak offs, depending on where they want to go. So, but we know a lot of people, sons and daughters. Like I say, even a guy like Theo Von, who, he's supposed to be this regular guy, comedian. He's a very funny comedian, but he's clicked up. And his family comes from some military background and some power, some clout. So I mean, all these people, yeah, you do gotta either be a part, you gotta be a relative, do freak offs, or more than likely, if you really want to be a star, both. So from NY, lived in his house accidentally, yeah. Yeah, there's some weird stuff from when he was super young too. Yeah, they may have did the same stuff they did with Will Smith kid, Jaden Smith, where he was young. They had him doing all that freaky stuff. Same stuff they doing with Zaya Wade. He might have had to do some of that to get on. And then that whole AMP team, I can't think of those guys' names. I know AMP is the company. Is Duke Dennis one of them? I'm not as familiar with him. I know him when I see him, but that whole squad and the Sneakos of the world and what's the other guy that who's kind of a weirder dude, but he has a little clock. I can't think of his name. He's a guy with glasses. He looks like a kid, but I think he's a little older than that. And I think he has some weird sus stuff going on with him. Oh, fuck. But all these streamers, all the streamers they pick, I've been streaming 5 years. I got now 5 people in the chat. Now, I ain't the perfect streamer. So, I mean, I deserve more than 5 people. I'm blessed to have you 5 people. About 10 people earlier. We can get up to 12, 13 on a good night. 14 sometimes on a good night. You don't accidentally end up in Diddy house. You intentionally end up. Phantom, that's one of them. Oh, he got kicked out, though. I didn't know that. You got to go to multiple Diddy parties. You don't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. You can't just like, hey, you know, I got general soreness. I'm not trying to go to the party tonight. Nah, that's not how that works. Hey, I'm glad to have you here, Zombie Man. I'm glad to have you here. We'll see how things actually putting ad money towards stuff. Actually putting a little money, actually trying to use some ingenuity to actually put some marketing stuff. I never knew what to do as far as marketing my YouTube channel. A lot of people market their YouTube channel, but for music, I can market that. And I don't know what I'm doing anyway, but it's just like I didn't want to. I have tried to use ads, and shout out to LDG, who I need to link up with, just see how he's doing. He kind of put me on the game, which a lot of that game has already been given, as far as using ads and different. I'll give y'all the game now. Using ads in different countries, in particular, it looks like Indonesia, India, Brazil. These are countries you run ads in, you can get more bang for your buck, and that can help push your content. So that's for everybody in the chat. If you want to run ads in Indonesia, Brazil, India, Pakistan, but particularly Indonesia and Brazil. And there's a few other places. You can do research, no more than me. There's other places. But those are places you can run cheaper ads. You don't have to run, multi-thousand, multi-million-dollar campaigns. You can run a few bucks, $5 a day campaigns in some of these places and have solid results. You make a Brazilian. That's not a bad idea, making all that Brazilian music. If you put some ad money behind some of that stuff, you could do pretty good. Cassie was asking when was the next party. Yeah, Cassie does not seem like a victim. Only victim is her husband. I think her husband might be into it. Just like I think Travis Hunter is in there. And yeah, I want to see some cool. Hopefully it's not a dead body, Brandon Holland, but we'll see what it is. It was popping off pretty well as a genre. The favela funk. Keep doing it, man. Keep doing your stuff. And you know what you should be doing? You should be posting your shit regularly. I'll give you the game that, part of the game that I was already going to use, because everybody should use it. Post your shit with memes. Find a meme category that you like and post your music and the links to your music. Rather you use SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you feel like you want to use to do it. And I'm going to just send you some of the industry YouTubers that I follow. Not industry, the marketing YouTubers, music marketing. I will say you don't listen to everything, because a lot of these people are soulless. And these people don't understand, hey, you have to make music. Like, I saw an interview, and I'm not a big fan, not a big hater. I've heard some decent verses from the guy Russ. And he's like, well, if you're not making a song a month, I don't know what you're doing. It's like, well, Outkast used to take 2 years to put out an album. Like, don't rush artistry. Artistry should be the goal. Because there's no guarantee for money if you do all the shit right either way. You can put a whole bunch of money behind it, but it's just too trash and nobody likes it. But if you got something dope, then if you do put money or follow the right marketing steps, it'll do something. You got dope music, so you focus on putting out dope shit. Could you send you your email? Yeah, I'll send you the email through Discord, Instagram. Give me a second. Not sure what's going on legally, but the Lionsgate movie channel on YouTube has all their movies being released. That is awesome. No, Travis Hunter's not going to end his career due to prison. I think it wouldn't shock me if Travis Hunter's into that shit. Listen, he's not a stupid person. Why would you, as a man, as a straight man, we're assuming straight, I'm not so sure he's just straight up straight. Because there's a lot of straight men in the chat. Would any of you, if you had a girlfriend, go to a party with your girlfriend, let her go by herself, knowing that she's going to be dancing and with a lot of men, and only sit in the car? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Occam's razor says the simplest answers are more likely the right ones. What makes more sense? Now, if you say, hey, this is a guy with a cuckold fetish, all of a sudden, does that situation make a lot more sense? You're like, oh, he's into this shit. Let him do what he does. Because I couldn't think of another reason. He's not stupid. He has people around him who's told him. It's not like nobody has said anything to Travis Hunter. The only logical answer is he's into this shit. That's the only thing logical. Oh, and Travis Hunter and this girl got ultimate stamina. And that's without all the, speaking of rappers, the SoundCloud rapper videos she's been in and shit. That's a trick question. What's a party? To my passion, my gloves. I'm going to keep quiet on this. Girls are intolerable. We're not talking about someone being intolerable, and we're talking about somebody who is clearly and obviously you're not in listen, I'm sure you probably going through it, child. You know, I wish you the best with your situation. I don't want to, and this is passion my gloves. Don't listen to Retro Richard. I'm sure it might be a tough situation, but like, that's not what's happening with Travis Hunter. He's willingly putting himself in this situation. He has the autonomy to not do this. He doesn't have a kid with her. He can say, you know what? I don't want to be here. Even if she says, it'd be one thing if he just said, you know, you going to a party by yourself, you can go ahead and go, which is bad enough. But I can see, you know, I'm not going to fight with her, whatever. Okay, fair enough. But to drive her and to wait outside, I can only think he has a fetish. I don't know what else. When we're talking about logic, I can't imagine why you would do that. I just can't. I don't think Travis Hunter's only going to play one season. Even though, didn't Aaron Hernandez only play 1 or 2 seasons? Because he murdered a guy. So that's ironic. He wasn't Rookie of the Year, I don't think. But that's not unprecedented, Richard, for a guy in the NFL to have a good rookie season, only play 1 season because of murdering someone. Because I think Aaron Hernandez only played 1 season. Just joking. Love will be like that, man, since both are tolerable with each other. Yeah, so I can get that. Sometimes you have that toxic back and forth because you get more emotion. That emotional excitement creates an attachment, and so that's a thing. But that's not what we're seeing. An obvious whore, and we're seeing this guy completely allegedly ignore how much of a whore she is, while seemingly actively encouraging the whoredom. Like, to drive her, this wasn't just a one-time, this happened once thing. To consistently drive your woman to be around other men and wait in the car, I gotta imagine you're into the shit. He did play 3 seasons. Okay. I know he didn't play that long. It was 3 seasons. Brandon Holland corrects us. It was 3 seasons. Still very short time in the league before going to jail. So there is nothing. The glove was meant for you, the ghost of OJ. I see that meme. I think we sent it to each other. It was like, the glove didn't fit because it was meant for you, Travis. And I've seen all the Crispin Y memes of Travis Hunter. I hope that doesn't happen. But I gotta imagine, if I know that she's a whore, he knows. And maybe, listen, some people are into that shit. Cuckolding is a thing. And some guys are also into men, so they want to experience. You know, they might share a guy. That's not a crazy. That sounds crazy, but that's a thing. I know it was a meme. I don't know if it was a true story, but it may have been a true story. You know how sometimes you see those meme tweets where it's just like a crazy ass tweet and that's it. And it was a guy caught his mom with another guy, and then 5 minutes later the dad comes over and he's with the guy too, and it's like, oh no, mom's not cheating, they're a throuple. That's how it's going down. Yeah, major pause moment. Some people are into that shit, man. That's a thing. Yeah, some people are into that shit. It sounds crazy to us. And that would be a traumatic experience to see your parents, to see one parent, oh man, she's cheating on dad. Like, wait, dad? Huh? You want to talk about needing some therapy. But some motherfuckers get down like that, man. You know, I had a random couple try to pick you up in a sus way downtown Austin. Young couples, you know what I realized? We don't know what year the Austin serial killer started putting in work down there. We have no idea. We don't know shit about this killer. And it could have been a couple. It could be, we just think it's a killer. We don't know shit. It don't seem like it's not like they targeting a demographic. It's just that area of Austin, which I need to go back out to Austin. But, yeah, man, some motherfuckers are into some weird shit. Some motherfuckers are into weird shit. Some guys are into guys, man. I know sometimes you detach yourself from all this LGBTQ stuff, but it's not because there's no one. I know the percentages are low, but there's people into that shit. There's at least millions of them, man. And Travis Hunter might be one of them. That makes more sense. I'm supposed to believe this guy who's going to be a top flight athlete who graduated college, he's just retarded? No, that's not. He's just freaky. That's his business. Some guys love them some whores. Fizz is playing a remake of Gen 1 Pokemon. I am not a Pokemon guy. I haven't played Pokemon since it was on the Game Boy Color back in like the 2000s, early 2000s. Either Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color, one of those. Hey, Slasher, a lot of times I'm watching you. I'm actually thinking about playing a game today, The Punisher, which is a game I've seen you play. Oh, shit. That's right. Let me send you that shit now. I'm grabbing my controller. Let me send you... my email, and then... oh, shit. I guess they're having ICE protests in Dallas and Austin right now. So, like I said, I mean, I know people are legitimately upset, but I think these things are spreading. I think there's some fuckery afoot. I think there's some CIA, FBI involvement in the protests, and then they send the military. You know, problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution sort of shit. Hegelian dialectic type shit. Hopefully I typed it right. But there you go, Zombie Man. Just sent it. Travis Hunter plays both ways, exactly. He already plays both ways. Why can't he go both ways, man? Listen, I don't care. That's his business. That's what makes more sense. It's easier for me to believe this guy is bi, that he's so stupid that he can't tell what is going on with this girl. He can't be that stupid. But I can understand, well, maybe he's bi, doesn't want that to be put out in the world because he's a football player. She's into the same sort of things, so he just puts up with the thottery because he gets his rocks off with men and doesn't have anybody saying anything. And as long as she's loyal to that, she's willing to deal with the thottery. That's more logical than he's just the stupidest man on earth. And I know we all get in love. We all been young and in love and can be so upset. I understand that. But he's had more than enough things allegedly hit him for him to just have no clue and no idea and just, no, I don't buy that. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not him. I don't fucking know. But I don't know. They really decided to start having random protests 7 p.m. in Monday night. Yeah, exactly. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that either. I totally think this is I think most protests that we've seen in this country have been intelligence agencies. And we got somebody watching on Twitch. I don't know if that's just me or if it's somebody really watching. Thank you for watching, man. Thank you for watching. It's so hard to get something going on Twitch. It's hard enough to get something going on YouTube. But yeah, they just randomly decide, it's time to protest here. Now the protests have moved. That's a good word to use because a lot of these protests, it'd be the same protesters in L.A. They bail them out. They take them to Austin, take them to Dallas, take them wherever else they go. I'm sure they're going to go to Florida, Arizona, other areas where you probably have a high concentration of Latinos, New Mexico, wherever. And you go to these places, and yeah, there are going to be some organic, regular people who get caught up in it. I'm not saying it isn't. But, think about this. If you're an illegal immigrant, why would you protest? If you're an illegal immigrant and you want to stay in this country, why would you go to widely publicized protests with a huge police and military presence? You're an illegal immigrant who's trying to stay in the country. So your option, your grand decision is to go where there's a lot of military and police in widely publicized areas and act a fool. Come on, bro. Again, Occam's razor. Let's see if we can look this up on Wikipedia. What the simplest answer is the best. Your computer's still slow. Don't worry about it. If we can't do it, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, I'm probably gonna try this Marvel vs. Capcom Fine Collection and try the Punisher because I don't feel like sweaty ass Marvel vs. Capcom fights online. But Occam's razor, which is what the authors of Pain were named, Occam and Razor. That's what they were named after. But you got to go. So, and it's not 100% all the time. It's not always going to be the simplest answer is the best. That's the long and short of it. But Occam's razor in philosophy, Occam's razor, also spelled all these different ways, is the problem-solving principle that recommends searching for explanations constructed with the smallest possible set of elements, also known as the principle of parsimony, law of parsimony, attributed to William of Occam, a 14th century English philosopher and theologian. It's also cited as entities must not be multiplied beyond necessity. Okay. It advocates them when presenting a complex hypothesis about the same prediction. Both hypotheses have equal explanatory power. One should prefer the hypothesis that requires the fewest assumptions. That's the thing. That's the main thing. What do we have to do the least amount of assuming to believe is true? And that's meant the way of choosing between hypotheses that make different predictions. Similarly, in science, Occam's razor is an abductive heuristic and development theoretical. So what requires the fewest level of assumptions? That all these humans who are trying to stay in the country and are here illegally all organically and independently decide to protest the system all at once in all of these major cities. Which is a bigger assumption? You guys tell me. I'm not here to just dictate to you guys. Do your research. You tell me I'm wrong. I said it to the guy who got mad Friday. Do your research. Prove me wrong. I'm not a god. Just a guy. No, please don't send me back to the country. I'm waving the flag up. I can't take it. Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a big flag for the country I'm legally a citizen for, and I'm gonna wave it, and I'm gonna smash up cars, so I can stay here. No, I mean it's like this is why I think the way I think. I'm not just a wild conspiracy theorist who just thinks aliens are coming to butt fuck us and some crazy shit. I think things that make sense. I could be wrong. I am wrong on some things, but it just makes no sense. All right, Pete. Cool, zombie. Guy selling the flag at the yeah, that is smart. Easy money. Exactly. Fizz is asking her to get deported. But that's what the media wants us to believe. And when you ask questions of like, wait, that doesn't make sense, people look at you like you're a fucking asshole. It's like, no, man. I don't buy it. I don't fucking buy it. And I don't think I'm crazy to not fucking buy it. I think that's a logical way of thinking. And again, if you guys have a different opinion, different research, different things, motherfucking tell me, please. I'm looking for other explanations. But they're at bare minimum. I don't think the people protesting are fucking the actual illegal immigrants. At the bare minimum. Do not distribute with more effects. Let's see. Okay, so we got it. Thank you, zombie. Maybe they were having trouble rounding people up. Say stage an event when they're showing up. That's not a bad theory. Brandon Hollow. BH. That's a solid theory. This is a good way to round them up. It's an IQ test. It's a good way around you to start these protests. See if they come out and see if we can get them. Or at least, a lot of things that happen at these protests, they're able to track you afterwards. So even if they don't get you at the time, well, we know you were here and we know to track you and to look into you. So, a lot of stuff is an IQ test. Sometimes you may not peep it, but I just don't believe those are organic. I don't buy that. Could be wrong. Not the god of everything. I don't know everything about everything. Okay, I gotta try to download this. What you sent me? I don't know. I might have to do that. I could play it, tomorrow or something. But is it downloading? Oh no, it did download. Okay, that's not that bad. Oh, I'm about to get a bunch of these, aren't I? Let's see. It's about 20 minutes. Do not distribute. Okay, so we might be able to get it going. But yeah, I don't buy it that these are organic. And, like I said, it wouldn't shock me most protests. I mean, there's even video of the protests in the 60s. There's a video of a FBI agent who was involved in those protests and her giving her testimony. Now, to be fair, she was actually there to infiltrate like the Black Panther and the Black Communist Party and some of these things for the FBI. But she talked about how these parties, who more than likely also were connected to the military, maybe beyond her knowledge, but that's notwithstanding. She talked about how they wanted to encourage riots and all this other shit. So, yeah, some students and teachers may also have time off. It's crazy how many education system employees get involved with all these civil unrest and riots. It's uncanny how often that happens. Uncanny. So let's see if we can play Zombie Man. And then I'm going to go ahead and try this Punisher, and then we'll probably get out of here after that. So I wish I had a visual or something. That's something I got to start working on is visualizers. Not students, yeah. So easiest way to start ethnic division at the start of the summer, yeah, when it's hot. When it's hot, things heat up. Not to be punny, but it's what happens. All right, it says do not distribute. Let's go ahead and play it and see how it goes. You should be able to hear. Maybe I should. Hold on. You know, I'm about to kill two birds with one stone. I'm actually going to play the game and play the music. So let's, because I don't want it to just be a boring visual. But I'll mute myself and let the music play. So let's do that. Let's try to get that set up, and we'll come back. Let's try that. Let's try that. Pause in between songs. Let you know what you think. Okay, I can do that too.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics.
All right, hold on. There we go.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
All right,
Arcade
first off,
Classics.
gotta turn pro down.
Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
How do you play it?
Marvel vs.
A
Capcom
start.
Fighting Collection. Arcade.
Okay, this is
Marvel
already.
vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Arcade Classics. Marvel vs. Capcom.
I love this.
Collection.
This how
Arcade
easy this is to
Classics.
start. This
Marvel
is
vs.
excellent
Capcom
game
Fighting
design.
Collection.
Okay.
Arcade Classics.
What? Okay. Could not find. Oh. Maybe my controller's not synced up. Well, hold on. Hold on a second. I don't want it to document. Okay, that's not what A should be. Jeez. Okay, it's asking me to do a bunch of shit. Hold on. Sorry, I'm probably making things more complicated. Yeah, shit. My controller is not set up right. What just happened? Yeah, I tried playing it and give me a second. I'm doing too much. Turn this music. Actually, just turn this music off. Okay. Okay. So now we got Zombie Man. We're gonna play Zombie Man's music while we try to play this game. Oops, that's not what we meant to do. I don't even know what buttons are this thing is mapped to, but the mapping is all fucked up. All fucked up. Let me make sure. I'm gonna hit play once I get this shit going. Not gonna lie, shouting "stand still if you're gay" at the riot cops is kind of funny. That's crazy. That is wild. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm doing too much. I won't. Oops, man. Yeah. Trying to have my cake and eat it too. This is the game I want to play, the Punisher. Jesus. Why is my... My controller is map fucking wacky as shit, and it's messing me up. Fuck it, I'm just gonna have to just raw dog this shit. Just raw dog this shit. Alright, this is all I want to play. Okay, let's try to get Zombie Man's music going while we do this. So it should be playing in the background. I'm gonna mute myself, and hopefully this is gonna work. Or it won't.
Zombie on the fucking beat.
All right. Let me pause because I think it probably is a little awkward for me to not talk on these streams. Got 15 minutes left. So, Zombie, are these all your beats? You get back to the second pause in between. Are there any groups that simulate the riots in GTA? I'm sure there are. There always are, troll. So these are all your beats. So it's like a DJ set of beats that you came up with. That's pretty cool. Hoop man, going back to you. Oh man, feel free to post your link. And as far as playing this, like I said, if my controller is mapped crazy, it's used to be where the XY. I mean, it's usually mapped to a controller a lot better than this. So I have to guess which button corresponds to which. Where it usually makes. I'm using a PS4 controller, but it usually maps to every button on a Xbox 360 controller. So A is X, B is circle, RB is R1, R trigger is R2. So it just feels similar, and that's not how it is now. I don't know why. So that's an issue. And plus, I don't know how hard this game is if you have infinite continues. But it's still fun. It's still fun to play. Stuff you made on top of it as a homie, set up a party for. That's dope. Good luck with everything. That's dope stuff, man. You making dope stuff. We're gonna get back into it. Can't have you guys thinking I'm just totally it's a bit weird. But I like Zombie Main's music. Like I said, we're gonna do a lot more music. So they're trying to refine this EP. And then release got fucking flamethrower. That's so cool. Isn't it crazy that the Punisher is like a controversial guy now? But like in the 80s, they just had him in the game with flamethrowers just beating up like they just accepted bad guy bad, kill him, whatever. Like there was no thought about that. There was no kill rules and shit like that. Even Batman in '89 had no problem murking somebody whatsoever. We were so used to whether it was Dirty Harry or whatever the hero is murking people, it wasn't that big of a deal. It wasn't like some moral dilemma that the heroes kill, because they're the good guys. I know it's an oversimplification. That's not necessarily the correct way to handle things, but it is what it is. This is pretty cool. You travel time people, you're right, yeah. These are stuff you made. So let's get back to Zombie Main's mix. I'll shut the hell up. But come in from time to time. Just like everybody around Travis Hunter's girlfriend. another break from the music. First off, is this not like? I'm sorry if it's not coming across on the stream. This is actually a vibe. Just listening to the music and just watching this game. Like, I hope it's at least vibey. We'll play. We got about 7 more minutes left for this mix. It's a pretty good mix. You know, it could be an album. Like, you know, you've given us multiple albums worth of material. As far as all the beats you play, jeez, that's a lot of that. Sorry, I'm getting tired. I do want to finish this up. But to me, this is a hell of a vibe, so I'm having fun. Sorry if, you know, I truly apologize if it's not coming across, you know, for you guys. I am having fun listening to the music and enjoying this. Hopefully this is not too loud. The game, but it is fun. And yeah, I'm fucking with it. I'm not a big EDM guy, but I'm fucking with it. And you know, from what I hear with EDM and shit, I think it'll be a solid project. Also, Meme in there too. Fair enough. Hopefully I didn't miss it. I don't always catch things. And Fizz, I know how you feel when you're ahead of the curve on something. Like, man, I wish people would watch my content. I'm not familiar with that property you're talking about. And you know, the culture war. I mean, sometimes it's got to be said. Some of this bullshit has to be talked about, right? But, you know, it's gotten grifty. I think we all agree on that. Not yet. Oh, I haven't gotten to it. Okay. But you said this channel. What was the thing? It's Relooted. I haven't heard of Relooted. But that's the next target, and you would already told people to ignore it. But unfortunately, yeah, it's been videos that I made. Like, man, you know, if thousands of people would have watched this video and more, a lot of bullshit about a subject. I mean, that trade that happened with Luka, you know, people would have watched my video and understood stuff. And that's before the NBA did the shady shit with the draft lottery. And a few other videos, the MVP stuff I made, you know, some of the sports stuff I made. Like, man, people would have really paid attention. You could have been ahead of the curve. But people listen to the most mainstream source they can find. That's the biggest issue with modern art, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody, as much as I wish I wasn't. Wish I had my ear to the street on every possible independent music project that existed. But the main issue is we are still, regardless of what the platform is, conditioned to the mainstream as consumers. And that's why we don't have the best music, because we're conditioned to wait for the mainstream. We don't have the best even sports talk. You know, there's great independent journalists out on the internet, out in the YouTube world. We still listen to ESPN more than anything. There's great independent journalists for a lot of other subjects. We're still going to listen to, as much as everyone talks shit about CNN and Fox News, they'll still have the biggest market share in forming the opinions of a lot of stories. And just the way stories are covered. Again, is anyone else going to point out how brain dead it would be for these protests to be, for you to want to stay in a country that you're illegally in and to go into these widely publicized protests? Is anyone else going to give you that basic perspective of how obviously something must be amiss or not, you know? Instead, they're going to pass these off as if they're completely organic events. And that's just not true. That doesn't track. But, you know, it's not that people don't think, but if you give them room to not think about something, they'll just accept things. And I'm not special as this. There's things I just accept. But I just know bullshit when I see it more often than not. But sometimes it's easier to just, well, you know what, this is what the mainstream thing is. I don't know, I'm not an expert on it, so I'm gonna just go along with it because I got other things in my life, and that's the reality. But again, we're, as the consumer who just goes with the mainstream thing, we miss out on other perspectives, other information, other art, etc., that might be valuable. I mean, granted, the internet has definitely helped equalize a lot of that, but it's not perfect still. People still complain about the mainstream to watch the mainstream. Exactly. I wish I think more DC fans would have more fun reading your Owlman than they would whatever DC does in comic. But they're not gonna do that. They're not even gonna look for it. That's just the reality. Now, obviously, you do have some success for people who are Wattpad fans who have found your content, and that's dope. But I hope you have more, and you will, right? But it's just the reality is only so many people are gonna look from outside the mainstream content, and that's the biggest thing. Relooted is some game about black people trying to steal African artifacts. I mean, and return to African countries. Is it a good game? You know what I mean? I haven't seen anything on it. If it's interesting and fun to play, I mean, I know everybody, it's a woke. If it's interesting and fun to play, it doesn't matter. That's why I like games. Games have that extra element of independent of anything. If it's fun to play, it's fun to play. If it's not, it's not. So if a game is quote unquote woke but fun to play, it doesn't matter. It's fun to play. If a game is quote unquote based but fun to play, it doesn't matter. It's fun to play. And of course, if it ain't fun to play, it ain't. If it's a shitty game, if it's shittily made, if it's glitchy, if the mechanics don't work, then no one's gonna play it. Now, obviously, in this political climate, anything involving, and this is why wokeness has such a backlash. Now, I don't know anything about Reloaded. Maybe it is an intentionally culturally Marxist and antagonistic game, but otherwise, again, if the mechanics are sound, I could care less about what about the political thing. Is it a fun game? But now we're in this era where one of the consequences of all this cultural Marxism, all this wokeness, quote unquote, is now you've convinced, if you look at the past 10 years of content, you basically convinced that if it's all black, or if it's not a straight white male, it's probably going to be trash. Hell, you convince them even if it is a straight white male, it's probably going to be trash. But that percentage goes sky high because the material has been Ghostbusters 2016, the Concord game, Suicide Squad. We'll get back to Zombie Main's set in a minute, but because that's been the content, that has been, and hopefully I'm talking and you guys can hear me. Oh shit. Okay, I am talking. Cool. But because that has been the content that we've gotten the past now 10 years, you've informed your audience that if there's some heavy, minority or female or whatever, that it's gonna be bad. That's what you've informed the audience about your piece of media. So now that's why people even looked at Sinners like, this is some racial. No, Sinners had, race was a part of it because of the setting, but it had other things that were a part of the subtext. Music, even artistry, letting how you being the source of your own problems, letting those problems in. There's a lot of stuff. It wasn't a case where all the black people were good, all the white people were bad by any stretch of the imagination, because there was really nobody in that movie was completely redeemable. That's why it's called Sinners. Everyone in that movie was a sinner. So that's not what that was, and it was a good movie, and people did end up liking it. It was well received, but it was an example of some of the early stuff, the early assumptions that were made about that movie. Just letting you know, we have done such a bad job over the past 5 to 10 years we've taught you that if it's once you see just the cast, oh, here we go. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be and it would be a safe assumption. Now, I think Hollywood is starting to at least loosen some of that, but unfortunately, we taught a generation of people. If it's not a Marvel movie, then Lord knows even if it is, but just 9 times out of 10, if there's a race, especially if it's a race swap, a gender swap, where this is an established property, and we're changing the color or gender or both of the character, that's almost guaranteed trash. That's like that's on top of everything. But we've taught a generation that if the person is a female, the main protagonist is a female or non-white, it's probably not going to be good because it hasn't been good. It's just been the reality. And then, if you do get a straight white protagonist, it's Robert Pattinson. In Batman, you get trashed that way. So, and a lot of people, I think, like that movie just because it came off as less woke than everything. Yeah, make female characters great again. I want to make more Roman Crim hardware's holding you back. That sucks, man. I had an issue even getting this stream going because I don't know if I need to upgrade stuff. I got to figure something out with storage. But I had so much trouble early. That's part of the reason this stream was late. The punishment caused me enough damage. That Batman is homosexual. I do want to get back to the thing, but I will say this: playing this Punisher game with no consequence of dying, these games have a totally different feel. Back in the day, even with consoles, it was a very common and popular bit of game design to give you limited continues, so you can get more playtime out of the person because they have to rethink new things. Like if I only had 3 continues, I would still be early in the game, and because they're unlimited, which I don't remember, I could try to play a emulated version of this, especially now that I own it. I think it's less illegal. But if I play the emulated version, like the original Genesis or SNES version of this, I don't think I would be as far as I am right now. I would have gotten just however many continues they give you, 3 or 4, and that's it. You got to start from the beginning. And that, because we're in the modern era, they don't have to do that anymore. So it's like a one quick playthrough. All right, I've ranted enough. Only got 4 people here. So after this, we will probably get out of here. Let's at least get through all Zombie Main's material. So I'll shut up. We got another 7 minutes of Zombie Main to go. Or 5 minutes, less than. So I will let Zombie Main's Heat play. And I will shut the hell up. All right, that was Zombie Main's mix / debut album or 50th album, because when you talk about him until he's played, just says do not distribute. Lots of cool beats, lots of EDM, whole party sets. I thought it was pretty good. You said what the meme was. I'm too old to understand the meme. I'm not an EDM mark like that. And shout out to Retro Richard. Check out his Wattpad. Like he said, 3.4K reads. No negative feedback, and it's actually, as somebody who's read a good portion of it, I've not read it all. It is and I'm not a big fan fiction mark, man. I think it's pretty well written. Even there's, some clever things. Now, I could be biased, maybe, but I thought there's some slick writing. There's some slick writing, the way things link up. So. It's a lot of issues, so you're not going to read it in one sitting. But it's something to check out. If you are into DC characters and everything through the lens of this essentially original character that Richard has created. And it's a lot of interesting stuff. And kind of tragic. I won't give you that much of a spoiler. But I like the mix, Zombie. I like it. I wish I had a bigger platform for y'all, so it could be easier for Fizz to get his stuff funded, so it could be easier for you guys to get more eyes and ears on you. We'll see how this summer and fall goes. 23-hour read, so yeah, it's gonna take some time. Wattpad, that's a safe bet. But yeah, this, going back to the game, this would have more stakes if I had limited amount of continues. But knowing I could just fight this endlessly until I win, it does take a lot of the heat off of this, I must admit. My man, that's up. That's it. This is beautiful. I love the graphics of this game. The graphics, the visual, just the presentation. It's a real fun time. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I don't know how I would do this if this is limited. I mean, remember, this is originally an arcade game, and I think this version of this is slightly different than the console versions that have been offered. I think this is more akin to the original arcade release. I mean, it's like I said, it's a pretty game. If you like that era of graphics, it's very pretty. And it is fun if you like beat 'em ups. It's like, man, you take away the stakes of continue, you take away everything. Like, even if I had to redo the level if I ran out of continues or something, like, that would add to this. It may be a tad for a game that was traditionally pretty difficult. You take away continues, you make this much easier game and maybe take a little bit of the edge off. Granted, it's still fun. It was a whole vibe. Listen to that mix. Get through this. Oh, you said Arkham Knight? Yeah, it was a pretty good looking game. I'm just referring to this graphic style. I really like the way the animation looks. It looks both very Marvel and very Capcom at the same time, which is the whole point of this. Goodness, because like right now we're probably gonna beat this tonight, and it's literally just me just spamming through. Like, there's no real thought, no real strategy. I don't need to play defense because I got infinite health basically. As long as I'm willing to continue, I can just play this as long as I want. Now, obviously in the arcade, that costs money, so in order to play this freely, you would need a lot of money to obviously do that. So, if I have to give a quick review, I would say, hey, He does lose his edge when you give you infinite continues and having no consequence at all for continues and death. It's strange how the Punisher was one of Marvel's most popular characters in the 20th century, but not. Yeah, it is strange. And this, this game came out not too long after he was introduced. He was only introduced in the 70s or the 80s. I think he started maybe in the 70s. And you have this game coming out in the 80s, so only like 10 years after he's introduced. But I guess you have Venom in games quickly after he was introduced, but still, his character got really popular real fast. Late 70s, okay, that's what I thought. So this game probably came out, I think 89, 90, 10 or 11 years after it was introduced. He was already popular enough for his own game as a standalone, because Venom is at least Spider-Man, despite what Sony wants you to believe. He's a Spider-Man character, so he at least came off an established brand where Punisher completely. Yeah, he uses Kingpin and as villains and whatnot, but some of his villains are common Marvel villains that Daredevil or Spider-Man may have to deal with. Fair enough. But, for a standalone character that, when you talk about even the X-Men had their origins in the 60s, but Spider-Man stuff in the 60s, his character, Punisher first appeared in Spider-Man, let's see. I can do the years, but it just shows you how popular this character was to get a game out of it in such a relatively short amount of time, especially just for the era, how long it took to make a game on. So Superman, Batman, yeah, it's not in a shared universe. You should share villains, right? Certain villains may be more core to one, but should expand, you know what I'm saying? That gives that shared universe some feel, right? Spider-Man has to deal with Dr. Doom. Yeah, maybe he's a Fantastic Four villain mainly. Maybe he does something and now Spider-Man's involved. He has to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? The Kingpin's really kind of I think a lot of people think of him as a Daredevil, but I think of him as much as a Spider-Man villain. And maybe a Punisher villain as well. So, all three characters have had notable run-ins with the Kingpin. So, Wilson Fisk can be any of these characters' villains. Punisher doesn't have Rose Gallery for obvious reasons. Yeah, he puts him down. It does have an art enemy being Jigsaw. Let's see, Marvel's Jigsaw, as opposed to the Saw version. Honestly, I'm not that familiar with Marvel's Jigsaw. I ain't even gonna lie. I know Bullseye, but again, I think that's more of a villain. Daredevil. Almost exclusively Daredevil, honestly. Piper. Guy's face scarred to look like a puzzle. I see. I think I've seen that character now that you mentioned it, but not extremely familiar with. I've seen the Punisher movies, And I saw some of him on Daredevil. I didn't see his spin-off series that he had on Netflix. Question hasn't made an appearance since 2017. Jeez. Definitely like the question. Obviously, with the influence of Rorschach, they got him for, what was it, Charleston Comics? Is that where they got those Watchmen characters from? And instead of just using the characters as they were, they edited. Was it Alan Moore? He changed each one, so they had rights to the question. And instead of making Rorschach, question, he was Rorschach. And all of those Watchmen characters came from characters that DC had bought from other comics that were already established in other comics, which they had done before. They did later on with the Milestone Universe. Shout out to, I recently found out, fellow Detroiter Dwayne McDuffie, and I also found out he's the brother of Key from Key and Peele. Like, holy shit! I know a lot of people are related, but that's just so crazy. But anyways, those Watchmen characters were based off of established characters. But Alan Moore didn't just want to use the characters they had bought, so he changed each one to come up with his own universe. And the rest is, as they say, history. But yes, the question and Rorschach are related in that way. Dr. Manhattan was supposed to be Captain Atom. Oh, see, y'all, I didn't even realize that, yeah. And obviously done stuff with that. I used to know all the characters they were. It's been some years. I used to know which ones they were supposed to be and whatnot. Never understood Watchmen. Really? I don't think it's that hard to understand. I mean, reading the comic, and you know what kind of makes it may make it hard to understand, because this is something it assumes you know, because it assumes that you're reading this in the 80s when it was written. So if you don't understand the Cold War at all, there's a huge chunk that doesn't even make any sense. And especially because we're post-Cold War, and again, it was cold. It, like, the whole thing doesn't even make sense. See, you just don't understand the purpose. Because unless you... The comic doesn't... It just assumes you're going to understand all the intricacies of the Cold War. It doesn't think, well, 40 years from now, the Cold War may not mean anything. And thus, a lot of what we're not explaining is not going to make sense. It's part of the lore that you have to know. That this is an alternate version of the Cold War 80s. Because that if not, you don't even understand why Ozymandias would do what he's doing. Right? Like, it wouldn't, like, why would you, what is the point? You wouldn't understand the allegorical stuff, the clock going to midnight, the allegorical stuff of society falling apart, and this guy in the island comic falling apart. It just assumes you recognize this is all about the Cold War. And if you don't know any of that, the Cold War, the intricacies of the East and the West, even DCAU, when they dealt with this with the Justice Lords, and Green Lantern gives the speech, when I was a kid, I thought the whole world was gonna blow up. At least gives you that much pretext in that scene. Where the Watchmen, I mean, the comic book just assumes you recognize that's the vibe. And if you weren't there, or at least even in my generation, the reverb of the Cold War, knowing that, okay, that's what the context is. Without that context, it almost turns it off. The movie, I like the movie, but I also like the comic. Yeah, you would be confused because, again, the comic book and the movie assume you recognize that the Cold War is a big issue because it was the big issue at the time. And that, if there's any flaw I would say that's a pretty big flaw, because as someone your age, you can't just not explain some of this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not contained in the comic. And I think when people review it because they have familiarity with it. But if you're, the Cold War was 30, 40 years ago. You say it ended in 90, that means it's 35 years old. That means we got people, it's fortunate to say it's grandparents who were born after the Cold War ended. So now all this context is assumed to the reader to have, you don't. Little kid, last time you watched it. Now, I mean, you may understand a little bit better now that you're older. And then the basic, if you want to tell what it basically is, it was just to show, superheroes could be assholes. It was one of the first, before we had the Watchmen and the Boys and it was Irredeemable or whatever the fuck that shit was called. All these different comics. Good Lord, look how big the Kingpin is. All these different comics and stories that told you superheroes were not to be trusted. Superheroes are terrible. Before that was a thing, you had something like the Watchmen to at least get you to question them. And just like the comedians, like he's just terrible. He's a terrible person, but because he's a CIA agent or whatever he is, an intelligence agent, it's like everybody capes for him. Now, there are things that to this day I never quite made sense. Like one, Dr. Manhattan, he just has his morality or lack thereof doesn't make sense. The things he allows to happen and doesn't have happen, it's just and I know that's a talking point. The fact that he has, he's disconnected from humanity, but yet he kills Rorschach. It's just a bunch of stuff. If I pick it apart, I do have my issues, and that's even with the original narrative, let alone the movie. But I still like to watch the movie. And without the context of the Cold War, a lot of it's just not going to make sense. Even though some of it is, just some of this is the debauchery. You're meant not to like them at the end. You're meant to think these people are shitty heroes and should not be the ones trusted with all the power, which is really what Alan Moore, he's an anarchist. He's just basically the real what this book is about is don't trust the government. So on that level, I do, because the idea is that the heroes are to stand in for the government, and they can make crazy decisions that they think are good, even if it costs people millions of lives, even if it costs all sorts of stuff. They'll make these decisions. Now, that's the thing. Yeah, and that wasn't intended, but I don't know how that couldn't have been when you consider how they ended it. Rorschach is supposed to be a bad person too, but he's the only one. So cutting to the ending of the Watchmen again, the subtext is the Cold War. The subtext is the world's going to end in nuclear war and kill it. Everyone's going to die, right? So Ozymandias, who's one of the Watchmen, or I forgot what they were called in the comics. They called the Watchmen in the movie. They had a different name. I think the Minutemen. So he's gone on to become a billionaire, but he was a superhero back in the 70s before they made superheroes illegal. And his grand plan is to fake that's another thing. This was actually something talked about by Reagan. He fakes an alien invasion. Reagan has wouldn't it be crazy if we had aliens from another planet attack us? All of our problems would go away. All the division that we have would go away. I don't think that's mentioned in the comic, but that is something that was publicly said by Ronald Reagan back in the 80s. So he fakes an alien attack in the comics, and they fake a terrorist attack from Dr. Manhattan in the movies. Basically, though, the premise being the same: fake an attack, false flag an attack, in order to bring the world together to end the Cold War. Now, that obviously wasn't necessary to end the Cold War, And again, they don't tell you that's the point. They just assume you know it because you're reading it during the Cold War. But that's the point. And at the end of the day, the only one with enough sense to say, hey, this isn't fucking right is Rorschach. Hence why he's the most well-liked character, even though Alan Moore didn't intend for that to be the case. He intended for you to view him as flawed because of his brutality and all his issues. And he is flawed. He's not perfect, but compared to everybody else, he's the only character with a sense of morality that, even though it can be extreme, everything's black or white, good or bad, you know, certain things are black and white. I don't think there's a gray area in what Ozymandias did. I think it was a fucked up thing to essentially kill millions of people in hopes that it'll bring the world together. And I think one semi-mistake, that's supposed to be left ambiguous on whether or not Ozymandias actually accomplished his goal. In the comics, it's like, you know, I don't know if you don't really know if it works, but what's shocking is the fact that Night Owl and Silk Spectre don't even give a fuck. They're just dating, they're fucking each other, they just living a good old life. Millions of people are dead, they don't give a fuck. The only one who gave a fuck was Rorschach, and they murked him. So yeah, at the end, nobody was supposed to be liked, but you end up, can't help but to like Rorschach because he was the only one with a basic bitch sense of morality of all these characters. But you're supposed to question the morality of the people who have control and the people who are designed to protect you. Who watches the Watchmen? It's like, look, the people who you think can protect you could maybe fucking evil. You know what I'm saying? Maybe evil and fucked up. And on that bombshell, we're going to end this stream. A lot of people have left us. It is super late as well. What is it? 3 a.m.? Yeah. The Kingpin found his final defeat. Punch hand the King building. See, going back to this, it's like, all right, he's the good guy, he killed the bad guy, that's it. That's all we need. I'm so tired I can't even read this, but this has been a fun stream. Hopefully we can get Clear Obscure or whatever. The Kingpin they found over 290 ex-criminals. Could not find anybody that could be identified as the Kingpin. Yeah, we're getting out of here. Vengeance burns eternal. Punisher team. Okay, we don't need all that. We're just gonna get out of here. So if you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share and subscribe, please do that. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Good night. God bless. I will be back sometime this week. Hopefully we'll have some more content now. I appreciate you guys sticking it out. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.